Here, an assistant coach at Force Barbell, and today I wanted to go over the Snatch Balance, which I believe is one of the most botched exercises in weightlifting. The reason I kind of wanted to make this video is because I've seen recently a lot of videos through social media that people are posting videos of Snatch Balances, and they don't look like Snatch Balances at all. Basically, I've been seeing a lot of snatch grip push presses into an overhead squat. While that's fine and that has benefits, if you're going to program a snatch balance, you need to implement it the right way. Basically, the reason for programming a snatch balance, we believe, is to basically work on your receiving position in the snatch. So if you're seeing a lot of people doing snatch balances and they're catching up here and riding it down to an overhead squat, while that's probably good for a beginner level weightlifter, but when you're working with intermediate and more advanced level weightlifters, they more so need work on the position in the bottom of the snatch, not so much driving the bar up, catching it high, and then riding it down. A beginner level weightlifter, that'd be great for them, just working on the position all the way throughout the movement. But if you're trying to excel at weightlifting, and you're just kind of throwing snatch balances into your program just to basically see how much weight you can get overhead and overhead squat, I would more so call that a snatch push press to an overhead squat. So what we kind of teach here for snatch balances is to basically look at each lifter individually, and we'll kind of coach and implement a snatch balance based on their weightlifting level and what the lifter needs to work on most. So as for, we have a lot of weightlifters that, for example, they need to really work on their receiving position in the very bottom of the snatch and catching it kind of back, the weight back towards their heels, because even me, myself, and a lot of our weightlifters, we like to catch everything going forward on our toes, so we need to work on that position in the bottom of our snatch. And so we do implement snatch balances to work on that. One thing what we really emphasize is not so much driving the bar up and catching it, but driving ourselves down under the bar, because that is what is going to have the most transfer from our snatch balance over to our snatch, and will make us become better weightlifters in the process. And we're not really focused on setting PRs in the snatch balance. We'd rather set PRs in our snatch. So when we kind of coach the snatch balance, we focus, like I said, on driving ourselves under the bar. And let me grab just a bar here to show you what that will look like. So if I'm just warming up for a snatch balance right here in the bar, I'm not working on driving the bar up and riding it to an overhead squat. I'm working on my receiving position in the bottom, because that's what me and most of our weightlifters need to work on the most. So what it's going to look like is not so much driving it up, we're going to drive ourselves under. Boom, like that. Let me show you again here. Not driving the bar up, driving ourselves under the bar. So that's kind of the main focus we focus on in the snatch balance. And when doing that, a lot of times that way of doing the snatch balance that we see is people don't like to get their hips centered under the bar throughout the whole movement. And you'll see as they start to drive themselves away from the bar, they're not driving themselves under, they are driving away. So it's going to look like that. We often see a lot of weightlifters when they catch that snatch balance, that bar's often shooting forward while their weight's back. Well, their weight's on their toes, but they shifted themselves away from the bar, so that bar's moving forward while their center of gravity is moving behind the bar. So what that would look like is more so like that. That's one of the things we see a lot. So we don't want to drive ourselves away from the bar like that. We want to think about centering our hips under the bar the whole movement. So what that's going to look like is, if I'm going to dip and drive up just a little bit, depending on the weight, I'm going to get my hips centered under the bar, not away, hips centered under the bar. Then when I'm driving myself under the bar, right under the bar, not away from the bar. So as we move from more lighter weight snatch balances to heavier, we will have to drive the bar up some, but we're still focusing on catching the bar here as opposed to driving it high, catching it high, and then riding it down. So when you're programming snatch balances, have a reason. If you don't really have a solid reason to program snatch balances, don't program them. Focus on something else your weightlifters need to improve on. Not so much just programming snatch balances because that's what everybody's doing. So if you're programming snatch balances, program them and implement them in the right way that's going to have the most carryover to your athletes, and that is going to help them improve as a weightlifter. So if I'm programming snatch balances, I'm working on receiving in the bottom position of my snatch, not so much driving the bar up. So it not only you have to program them the right way, you have to implement snatch balances the right way too. If I program snatch balances and I'm letting my athletes get away with heavy weight, driving the bar up, basically catching it tall and riding it down, that's basically not helping our weightlifters, and we're kind of doing them a disservice. So we want to implement them the right way, driving ourselves under the bar, catching the bar in a solid bottom receiving position of the snatch, not so much driving the bar up, catching it high, and then riding it down. So whenever you program something, make sure it's going to have a benefit to your weightlifters, and you implement them in the right way that's going to have the most carryover and efficiency to your full snatch. Thank you. I hope you watch some more of our videos.